Don't mind my hair. I've got a haircut booked for later today, but for the minute you're just gonna have to deal with it being a kind of unkempt mess. But I couldn't hold my feelings in any longer. I thought that I would maybe wait a couple of days, kind of let things sink in a little, but I have too many thoughts. I had to get them out now. A trailer for the next series of Doctor Who, Series 1, Series 1.1, series updates, what, I don't know. I think it's series 1, the new series 1 was uploaded onto Disney Plus last night, and I have a lot of thoughts. I uploaded my raw reaction last night, just of what I was thinking as I was watching it, with the intention of doing a deeper analysis later on, which here we are. So I think the first thing that we can kind of gather from this trailer is that we're definitely getting, like, the bigger budget is definitely shining through. Like, we got the bigger budget from Disney or whatever, wherever the money came from, and it is definitely shining through on the production quality. And this, everything looks a little bit like it doesn't look like the Doctor Who from whenever I was growing up. Not that the Doctor Who when I was growing up was anything like the Doctor Who, like, for example, when my dad was growing up, when they were using tin foil and duct tape to make aliens. But the production quality is definitely, it's definitely stepped up a little from the Doctor Who of me growing up. And I made this note whenever I tried watching Jodie's era. It was very clear that, like, the sets were bigger, there was more money being put into it, the special effects were just that little bit better. And even though I didn't end up watching all of Jodie's run, I was able to acknowledge that when I first watched her series. And I can see that shining through here again. There is definitely a lot of money going into this, you can tell. And the show, you know what, Doctor Who has spent so long scrounging for pennies ever since it was the classic era, and like I say, they were scrounging together aliens from duct tape and tinfoil, so we deserve this kind of little budget bump, and I'm glad that it's shining through and we can see where the money's going. So they got this big budget, and where's the money? Where did it go? Like, it's not all just going on to Russell T Davis's paycheck or something like that, you know? We can actually see it in the sets, in the costumes, in the everything just looks that little bit better, you know? And I think that was the first thing that kind of struck me whenever I was watching it. I was just like, okay, we can see where this budget has gone, you know, which is good. But going into the nitty gritty stuff, the first thing we see is the TARDIS flying into unit headquarters, which I find quite interesting. It was really weird seeing the Disney Plus logo before anything started. I was just like, I'm never going to get used to seeing the Disney Plus logo before Doctor Who. Does that mean, like, on Disney Plus, like, we're going to see, like, the Disney castle and everything before Doctor Who starts, you know, like the thing? I'll never be watching on Disney Plus because I live in the UK and I don't have Disney Plus, so I don't know. Let me know if they show, like, the castle before Doctor Who episodes start. That would be so bizarre. That'd be so weird. But anyway, I digress. We see the TARDIS flying into Unit, and I immediately think, oh well, Unit seems it's going to be playing a bigger part then, because we see the unit building, we see Mel, and Mel is evidently a member of Unit now. And I think we saw the Brigadier's daughter, her name is escaping me. Kate? Is it Kate? I think we saw her, I'm not sure. But that obviously shows us that Unit is going to be playing a bigger role in this series, which I find quite interesting, because in the Third Doctor's era, whenever he was forced to regenerate into the Third Doctor, his punishment, as well as being forced to regenerate, was that the TARDIS was bound to Earth. He couldn't go anywhere. So he ended up being the scientific advisor for Unit, working along the Brigadier, Kate's dad, and a plethora of other companions. That's where he met Sarah Jane. He had a scientific advisor himself called Liz Shaw, and just a lot of when he was stuck on Earth, he was basically working with Unit. And that's a theme that I think would be very interesting to come back in, because whenever Unit came in David Tennant's era, they basically, because I think we just saw a glimpse of them in Christopher Eccleston's series with the Aliens in London episode. They're like, oh, that's Unit, I used to work for them. But they come in a bigger role in David Tennant's series, and he has a massive distaste for them. He's like, oh, it's become very military and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, dude, this is what Unit was. This is always what Unit was. They just seem to have a bigger budget themselves as well. So it'll be interesting to see that kind of element. I really appreciate when they try to put elements from the classic era in, or try to give some sort of kind of nod to those elements. I find it very interesting because for a long time it felt like Doctor Who was just kind of reusing the same kind of tropes, like, oh, it's the Daleks again, oh, it's the Cybermen. Stephen Moffat had a habit of just being like, it's the Weeping Angels again, remember them guys? And it just got a bit tired. Like, I thought Missy was going to be revealed to be the Rani, because I thought the Rani hasn't been used yet. The Rani's from the classic era. Her episodes aren't known as the best episodes. They're quite actually known as quite bad. So it'd be great to like give her a kind of redemption, maybe with better writing. But they never utilized it, and it never came into play, and it just seemed like a bit of a waste. Like, they have all this plethora of history with the classic era that they just seem to kind of squander a little. Not that I want them repeating everything from the classic era, because that would get boring and predictable, but seeing these little acknowledgements goes a long way. I know I appreciate it as someone who's able to recognize them and go, I remember that from whenever I was watching such and such, when I was watching John Pertwee, when I was watching Tom Baker, whenever I was watching Sylvester McCoy. I just appreciate it, personally. There was obviously a lot going on in this trailer. There's loads of like bam, bam, bam of different kind of like episodes, obviously from different eras, different locations, different like just a lot of stuff going on. There's a scene where Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor is dressed in his, I'm going to call them the Bridgerton clothes, because I'm not even going to estimate a time period because I'll get it wrong. We'll go with the Bridgerton time period because that's what Ruby says, oh my Bridgerton. Didn't quite like that line. I'm not a fan of kind of like pop culture references. It kind of like drags me out. It kind of makes me think like they're trying to be like, hey, you guys like Bridgerton, right? We're with the kids. We get it, you know, kind of like that. But he was in his Bridgerton era clothes, and we saw a hologram of David Tennant in the background. And the way I'm hoping that is that it's, you know, the way they always do that thing where they're just like, I'm the Doctor, and then there's some sort of computer scanning him, or there's like those things in like the next Doctor where he had to shine it on the wall and it shows all of his past faces. I wouldn't mind that. I'm just getting a little tired of the kind of David Tennant stuff. I really hope that that is just a glimpse of them showing all his faces, because yes, we get it. David Tennant was great. David Tennant was my childhood too, guys. Let him go. Let the man go. Free him into the backyard to be shot like old Yeller. People are going to hate me for saying that, but when you overuse something so much, the effect kind of dies. It's not the same anymore. You're not as excited because you're predicting it. Like for like the 70th anniversary of Doctor Who, we're going to be like, oh, what's David Tennant doing this time? And there's going to be no surprise. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping it's just kind of like a computer scanned him or something, and it's kind of just like, these are all his faces and this is all he's been before. Because they usually do that in the first episode. They did it in Matt Smith's episode with the big eye. I am really seeming uneducated at the moment. I do love the show, guys. All the names are just escaping me at the minute. The guy who was chasing Prisoner Zero, the big eye, it scanned him and it showed all his faces, and it was a very dramatic moment because David Tennant had left and this was the guy who's taken over after David Tennant, so we saw like David Tennant's face, and then he walks through and he's like, I'm the Doctor. That was great. I like that. So I'm hoping that's what that is with Ncuti Gatwa, because I don't like when they kind of reference the old Doctor too much in the new Doctor's era, because they did it with Peter Capaldi. They had the 11th Doctor call Clara and kind of be like, oh, it's okay, you know, you gotta give him a chance. Fucking hell, let Peter Capaldi win the audiences on his own. You didn't need to bring Matt Smith in. That felt very like kind of undermining their belief in Peter Capaldi's ability to kind of draw the audience in. They had to bring Matt Smith in to kind of talk to Clara, which is another thing that annoyed me about Clara's character. But so like, I don't like it when they reference too much the old Doctors, because it doesn't give the new Doctor, the new actor for the Doctor, a chance. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that's all that is. They were using David Bowie throughout this, and great song choice. I just gotta say, it worked so well with the trailer. The beats were all great. I love when Ruby talks about the butterfly and then steps on one, which I hope is not just reusing the scene from when Martha said it, and is instead kind of homaging it, kind of like referencing it. I mean, I know this is a soft reboot, so like you don't have to watch like Martha's era to have understood and all that stuff, but you know, Martha said it first, you know. And the Back to the Future comparison was always funny. And we got to give Martha her dues. Martha doesn't get enough credit, so we're giving Martha her credit for the butterfly thing. Even though I think that's a reference to something, step on a butterfly and you change like something on the other side of the world. Although I thought it was something like the beat of a butterfly's wings can cause a hurricane on the other side of the world, but whatever. In the show's context, Martha said it first. It was still funny though, because then she proceeds to step on a butterfly and then this alien shows up in like dinosaur era and it's just like, oh, which if you know, you know, we're going to make the reference here because we have to. Adric killed the dinosaurs. If you know, you know. That was funny. I like that there's going to be humor. I really think that I'm going to like Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson's like rapport together as a duo. They seem really funny. Like the scene with the monster when he's just like, monsters are just friends we haven't met yet, and then he roars and they're like, ah, and then they run away. I think that's really funny. I really think I'm going to like them together, which is a shame if Millie Gibson has decided only to stay on for like a series or a series and a half. But Martha is one of my favorite companions in the new Who era, and she was only there for one series, so you know, you don't need to be in loads and loads of series to make a lasting impact. So I'm looking forward to seeing their kind of dynamic together. I think I'm really going to enjoy that, because it's just nice to see them being mates again. I really hope that they're just being mates, because that's why Donna like related to people so much, because the mates dynamic was just so fun, and I really hope we're going to see that again, because that was so fun. Because after Donna came Amy, and Amy in series 5 was Rory deserved better. We got our first look at Jinx Monsoon kind of doing her like thing. Like we saw a photo of her. I love Jinx. I was rooting for Jinx when she was in RuPaul's Drag Race. Was so glad that she won. I still say water off a duck's back to myself whenever I'm faced with criticism. So I was so excited to hear she was going to be on the program. I'm not sure how I feel about her costume. It kind of looks like a costume that someone would like whip together for their child for like musical theme day at school. And I was noticing that like there's like musical notes, and it seemed to be whenever they were dressed for the Beatles episode, because it's no secret now that there's going to be a Beatles episode, and like they were kind of like wrapped around Ruby. And I know Ruby Sunday can play the piano because there was like a casting call or something for a piano double for Millie Gibson, and considering the fact that Jinx Monsoon has friggin' piano keys on her costume, I figure that has something to do with it, you know. So that's something to do with that episode. And it's just and I was sitting thinking, oh, that's what the piano double was for, and blah, 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 blah. And then there was dancing at the end, and it was kind of slowly occurring to me, oh my God, are they going to do a musical episode? Please don't let them do a musical episode. I hate musical episodes. You see, if musical or singing isn't common in the context of the universe, like in High School Musical, in those movies, people just burst into song. That's what they did. In Hairspray, people just burst into song. That's what they did. It's a musical. But when it's a program that there's no singing, like Riverdale just did it once. I don't watch Riverdale, but I've watched the scenes in Riverdale where they just suddenly burst into song in their musical episodes, and it's so embarrassing. It's so cringy. And also Glee, they just burst into song. Yeah, they're in high school, but they still burst into song. That's normal. They're in the Glee Club. This isn't a show where people sing. The Ood sang, sure. I should have gotten it whenever they were singing to the Goblin King. Oh no, maybe they were setting up for that. Oh God, guys, I really hope that's not. I'm sure it's going to be something like, oh, this alien casts magic that makes you dance and sing, but like I said in my review of The Church on Ruby Road, it would be funny if they were crap singers, you know? It doesn't matter how good you are as a singer. If you randomly burst into song, it's cringy. It's like that person in your class in high school or your year in high school who knew they could sing and would sing at every opportunity, and you're kind of just there like, cool. You know, and it's just like, we're not at a concert, we're not doing a play, why are you singing, bruh? So it's a bit cringy. I won't like condemn the entire show if they are doing a musical episode. I just probably won't enjoy it that much. And who knows, maybe I will. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass here. Maybe they'll put a twist on it or something that'll make it a lot more enjoyable than just random Riverdale bursting into song, singing about their problems kind of thing. We had a compulsory kind of conversation between the Doctor and Ruby's adopted mother, about how he's going to keep her safe. We all know how those conversations go. He always says it. It doesn't necessarily always happen. So that's all I thought whenever he was talking about that. I couldn't help thinking, I really hope this isn't going to lead to something happening to Ruby, you know, because every time he kind of talks to someone about that, or anytime he takes someone onto the TARDIS, something always ends up happening to the poor bastards. Like, like, I think out of all of them, Rose probably got the best deal. But I think it was obvious that Rose was kind of like Russell T Davis's favourite character that he wrote or something like that, so he couldn't resist giving her like the best fanficky ending that he could manage. So I also learned about this ship called Time Petals yesterday. It's like Rose in every incarnation of the Doctor or something like that, which is bizarre. I always feel like I know everything and then I realise that I don't, although I don't really think that I know everything. I don't know why I said that. But you know when you kind of feel like you've seen everything in a fandom and then you get kind of proven wrong? It was kind of like that. I didn't know that there'd be people who would ship like Rose with the second Doctor. That's so bizarre. But I might be interpreting it wrong, but that's what the explanation sounded like. And yeah, so we got the whole conversation with the mum. And it's going to be like, that means that something bad's probably going to be happening to Ruby, because we saw her like wrapped up in those musical notes as he was saying it. And it was kind of like, okay, honey, sure, you'll look after her. I mean, bless him, he does his best, but he's not very good at it. Like, he tries, but there's always trauma. Like, he always ends up, there's always trauma at the end. We saw that little old lady, I can't remember if she was given a name, who lives, I think, next door to Ruby. She kind of sees the TARDIS disappear and she drops her shopping. And there's quite a few theories going around about who she is. One of the most interesting ones, I think, is that she's Susan, the Doctor's granddaughter, which would be interesting. I'm not sure how that would work, but it would be interesting. I think it would blow everything out of the park if she was a villain. Can you imagine? That would... Even though I've kind of made a kind of pseudo prediction there that she's a villain, I would still be kind of like, you know what, good job, I didn't see that coming kind of thing, because I'm kind of saying it like, oh, she might be a villain, but I don't really believe it kind of thing. I don't think that she's a villain. But the Susan interpretation is quite interesting, although I don't know how she would have gotten back to the 21st century, because I think it was the 22nd century she was left in. After the Dalek invasion of Earth, the Doctor left her behind because she fell in love with a human, and he knew that she would never leave him because he was old and he needed her help and she was never going to leave him, so he made the decision for her. And even though she is a time lady who maybe regenerates, I don't know. Apparently there's a whole lore thing where only like the people who went to the academy can regenerate. I'm not sure. Like, it's very hard. There's loads of lore. There's the books, the audio stories. I don't have anything. I haven't gotten into anything like that. I've listened to a couple of audio stories, read a couple of books, but I don't know the deep lore, you know what I mean? So I know there's some audio stories about what Susan has gotten up to, so for all I know, there might be an explanation on why she's in the 21st century. I don't know. But that'll be interesting if it is. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of like, you know what would be even funnier if she was just an old lady. People are like scheming and like trying to figure out who is this lady, and it just turns out that she's just the neighbour who's kind of encouraging to Ruby, and it's like, you go get him, kid, kind of thing. That would be funny. There's definitely more of a fantasy theme going on here, and they did say that would happen, that they would be leaning more into fantasy than sci-fi, which I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how that works, how that goes. Part of the soft reboot was that it's going to be a bit more fantastical than sci-fi, so that it's all very like big set pieces, magical, mystical kind of stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that leads to, because it's looking really good at the minute. Like, I thought I was a bit worried, because I said when I watched The Church of Ruby Road that I was looking forward to it, but I was a bit nervous as well. And when I heard this trailer was coming out, I got a little nervous again, because I figured, oh no, I'm gonna watch this and it's gonna ruin everything. But it hasn't. I'm still actively looking forward to watching Doctor Who in May. I think it releases at midnight here. Don't know why. I think it's so that the Americans can get it at the same time or something like that. I don't know. I don't mind so much about the release dates. I'll watch it in the morning, you know, like it used to be that I have to watch it in the moment. Like I would do that if it was on at like 7 o'clock, but I don't mind like sleeping and then watching it when I wake up. I'm not that bothered. So what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on the trailer? Has it kind of made you excited? Has it made you weary? Has it made you decide that you're gonna watch it? Made you decide you're not gonna watch it? Let me know down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. check out my book if you want. It's an Amazon exclusive and it's free on Kindle Unlimited if you are so inclined, or if you have Kindle Unlimited, why not? It's a free book. I am also releasing another book in June. Looking forward to it. It's not listed just yet. It will be soon, hopefully, if all goes well. So keep an eye out for that. And I'll see you all guys next time. And remember, Adric killed the dinosaurs.